welcome to Beitzah Lamed Tet, Beitzah 39 malachos. You can't do on Yantav also, did you know that? So we're doing Daf 39. You know how many Dafim are in Beitzah, Yehuda?
No.
Take a guess.
There were like 6
You see? Do you see? How many Dafim are in Beitzah?
40.
No, there's 39 because Daf Beis, it starts from Daf Beis. So there's 39 Dafim in Beitzah, which is amazing because 39 malachos you can't do on Shabbos and Yom Tov. You know that Hashem made Maseches Beitzah 39 Dafim just for that? Isn't that amazing, Yehuda? You want to hear something amazing? That the Dafim in the Gemara weren't actually made. There used to be no Dafim until the 1500s in Italy. They organized the Psukim in the Torah and also the Dafim in the Gemara into actual pages. And it was done by a non-Jew, by a Christian. Did you know that? So what does that tell you about the holiness of the Daf? Christianity. Don't lose my camera thing. Can you believe that, Yehuda? Go tell Rosh Yeshiva when you come back tonight, when you go back to Yeshiva. Tell him
no, that's not
that Christians.
no. No,
Yehuda. No.
אין לי זמן, נו.
And this man, he's a busy guy.
בדיחות.
Believe me, come on.
רציני, אנחנו רציניים.
My share is having a good time. It's having fun. Showing me. All right. My son is crawling over here to me. He's too small to get involved, so I'm not worried that he's going to interfere. He might start crying. All right. So the Gemara on the top of Lamed Tet and Aleph. Tiny! Shir! Tyra. He's going to be a big Talmud Chacham, my son. I'm telling you. He is going to be Rosh Yeshiva of Chevron. I'm hoping. I made a bet with Yehuda that my son's going to be Rosh Yeshiva of Chevron, and he thinks he's going to be an Amaris. All right, let's go. Rabbi Yehuda Poter V'mayim. Rabbi Yehuda says that if you put water, a woman gives water to her friend to borrow to put in her dough. When she needs the dough, it doesn't restrict the tlum of the lady who makes the bread. So the Gemara says, "Ma'im in melech lo." Rabbi Yehuda only exempts from water. He seemingly exempts from salt also. Even if she gets salt. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, "Ma'im umelech b'teilin ben be'isa ben mikdeira." He says specifically salt also is batel in the isa or in a pot. Lokash, have melech Sodom, have melech astrakonis. If it was melech Sodom, Sodom is close to the Jordan River. We're going to learn about Sodom next week. Lech lecha. Sodom was close to the Jordan River. Jordan River, the water, I guess, the salt is finer over there. It's smaller pieces. So therefore, it mixes into the dough very well, and therefore it's batel. Astrakonis comes from, the article says it comes from this place called Astrakhan, which is the southern portion of Russia next to the Caspian Sea. You ever took a swim in the Caspian Sea, Yehuda?
Nope.
Gotta go there. 2 locations you gotta go: Black Sea and Caspian Sea. I'm telling you, there's nothing like a swim in the Black Sea. The water's really black. I have no idea what the water is. So the Astrakonis, the salt there was from that lake or that river is thicker. So it's thicker pieces of salt. It's not batel. So he only says batel when it comes to melech Sodom. Tanya, different prices. Rabbi Omer, my melech b'teim be'isa, be'im b'teim mikdeira. We just had a brisa. Rabbi said be'im be'isa mikdeira it's batel. Now he's saying only in dough, but not in a pot of cooked food because it has a liquid, has soup. You know, when you cook meat, it has liquid on the bottom. Lokash, baracha. If the juice is, if the cooked food is very thick, so therefore it's not going to be too much juice, so therefore it's going to be batel. If it's racha, if it's not as thick, it's a softer mixture, so therefore there'll be juice in the bottom and it's not batel. All right, the Mishnah says, "Hagachel karagle abaylim." A coal goes after the tchum of the owner of the gecheles. Shalheves b'chol makom. The shalheves, the flame that's burning on the coal, right? That goes after anyone who takes from that coal. So even if someone owned the gecheles and he lit a shalheves before Yom Tov, even if it was lit on Yom Tov, you're allowed to do havara. Anyone who takes from that flame can take that flame anywhere in his own tchum. You don't have to go to the tchum of the person who lit it. If you have a coal that belongs to hektish, if you benefit from it, you chayiv me'ilah. To bring a korban, you pay 1/5. Shalhev is the flame of that coal, lo nen v'lo molid. It's only asur midrabbanan, and there's no me'ilah midoraisa. It's asur midrabbanan. The Gemara goes there midrabbanan, then you can't benefit from the flame. We'll see why in the Gemara. Amoti gacheles l'sharabim. Someone another halach about a coal and its flame. If you take out a burning coal, sharabim from shliach on Shabbos, so you're gonna be chayiv for hotzah. Shalhev is potter. If you take the flame out, we'll see how this is possible. Just take a flame out, you're gonna be potter. We'll see the reason. This is a trailer. Ian with Ben Sion is focused on why by Shalhev is why by the flame you're gonna be potter. You have an idea, Yehuda? Why do you think you'd be potter for carrying a flame out through Sharab? What's your initial
I don't know.
thought about the matter?
I don't know.
You have an idea? Why shall Shalhev be potter? You're taking something out of Sharab. Why should you be chayav?
Why should be potter? Why should be chayav?
It says potter. Why should you be potter? Why shouldn't you be chayav?
Don't know.
Give a guess. Okay, I would have thought Ein Bo Mamish, that doesn't have mamoshes to it. A flame is not a physical thing, really. Fire is somewhere between physical and spiritual. I mean, like a metaphysical type of thing. Put your hand through a flame, it's like you didn't go through anything at all, but quick enough. So it's sort of like a metaphysical thing. It's not exactly here. Ein Bo Mamish, that's what I was said. This is Yehuda's drink. He's taking it on his hike back to Yeshiva tonight. He's taking a hike through the woods. All right. Where it says, three things were said about a gecheles and its flame. Three of them were say in the Mishnah, where the Beitzah can have two more. A gecheles karagli abayil, like this in the Mishnah. You go after the tchum of the owner. Shabbos goes after anyone who takes from the flame. Gecheles shall hektish, molin bav. Shalheves lo nen and below molin, like we said in the Mishnah. There's no me'ilah by the flame. Gecheles shall avodah zara asura, a new halacha. A coal of avodah zara that was worshipped, it's asur. You can't benefit. You're not allowed to benefit from avodah zara. So shalheves muteres, the flame of that coal, you're allowed to benefit from. Hamotzi gacheles to sharabim chayiv. Shalheves potter, like I said in the Mishnah, on the flame you're potter for taking. Amudar anam michaveru, a new halacha. If you take a neder not to get enough from your friend, asur b'gachelto muter b'shalhevto. Even though you can't benefit from the friend, you can't benefit from his coals because that's a physical object. His shalheves, the flame that is attached to that gecheles, or any flame that he creates, you're allowed to benefit from that. It's not considered, pashas is not considered to be, and momamish is not considered a real anah. So the Gemara asks, Ma'ishna shalheves avodah zara d'sharya. Flame of avodah zara is completely mutter. Ma'ishna the hektish the asira. Hektish is asur min rabbanan, which is lo nenim lo molin. So Gemara says avodah zara is isa v'dili and shemina. It's disgusting. No one likes avodah zara. People think it's disgusting nowadays. Used to be a big yetzer hara for avodah zara, but now there's no yetzer hara, so it's disgusting. People are going to separate from it. Lo gazra rabbanan. They didn't feel it necessary to be gozar on the gechelet because you might come to benefit from the coal. Hektish lo moyis v'lo b'dili in shemina gazra b'rabbanan. Hektish is not necessarily disgusting. So therefore, people might get too close if they're allowed midrabbanan to benefit from the shalhevet, from the flame. They're going to come to benefit from the coal, which is me'ilah, which is the rice and the gzera. Tanya motzi shalhevet. Where's that motzi gechelet shurab chayiv? Shalhevet is potter. Now Tanya, right? It says motzi shalhevet kol shu chayiv. It says if you take out the Mishnah says that you're potter for doing hotzah on the shalhevet. The rice says you're chayiv. How do you resolve this? I'm going to show you. Going to show tzil b'kising. He took it out with a match, the match, meaning he didn't take out the fire. The Gemara in Chiluk now, we'll see the Gemara explains later that it's possible to have a fire next to a sharabim, and you fan the fire, you blow it towards the sharabim, you detach the fire from the match or from whatever it's burning on, and therefore that's considered you'd be potter. That's the Gemara's Chiluk over here. Tzil b'kising. He took it out with a match. So the Gemara says, "V'tepik mishum kisem." He should be chayiv because of the match. So here's I want to read this Rashi because this is the Iyun of Ben Sion. This is the Iyun of Ben Sion part of Bashir, brought to you by the Toferis here, seamstress. She wants to push her services. So the seamstress on Mincha Shlomo 6. She sponsors the Iyun of Ben Sion. She's a Hasidic lady. I don't know if what's the sponsor on YouTube. Rashi says over here, "V'tegli mishum kisim." Amai tani amotzi shall have his kol shuchayev, b'lav shall have nami chayev mishum kisim. Why does our Mishnah say, the Beitzah say that you're chayev for the shalheves, say you're chayev for the kisim? Mashma Rashi, that really you'd be chayev for both. That really, technically, you'd be chayev shtei chatos. You'd be chayev for the kisim, and you'd be chayev for the shalheves. So if we're assuming that shalheves ein mo mamish, how can you be chayev for the shalheves ein mo mamish? The partial way of understanding this Gemara, that when it's burning on a match, you're chayev on the match, not on the shalheves. Rashi says a big chiddush over here, a huge chiddush over here, that you can be chayev for the shalheves also in addition to the match. How could that be? Ein bo mamish. So the Gemara says, the leisle shiura. Here we're talking about where it doesn't have a shear, the piece of wood, the match doesn't have the right shear of wood to be chayev for taking it out. The snana mostly eitzim kedei levashal Beitzah kala. In order to be chayev for taking out wood, yeah, it has to be the amount of wood needed to cook an egg. Abaye is a different answer. Going to shayfe mana mashka va'atli benura. Talking about you smeared oil on earthenware kli and you lit a fire with that oil. Maybe you should be chayev because of the kli itself. B'chaspa, talking about where it's a shard, it was broken, it's not a kli anymore. Maybe you should be chayev because of the shard, the pottery. The lace shiur doesn't have a shear. It's not a cheres k'delitin ben pasam lechaver. It has to be different Yehuda. Mishnah and Shabbos says in order to be chayev for pottery, for earthenware, if it's enough to put in a window, in order to make a frame of a window, you're chayev for it. So less than a shear is not chayev for the pottery. He's going to be chayev for the shalheves. So what's the case where you're potter, right? If we must be talking less than a shear also. The Gemara says, no, go on the Adiyah, you do the Shirabim. It's talking about where he fanned it towards Shirabim, he blew it towards Shirabim, so it's completely detached from the wood. I want to say a huge chiddush over here. And Rashi Tosa says, he says these words. In the Ramasal Tapuk, he's asking a different question over this here, but he says, then in Tosa he says, the leis b'mamish. He says shalheves is not no mamashas to a shalheves. It's a metaphysical thing. Can't be chayiv for it. Why are you chayiv when you have pachos mikashir of a kisei or pachos mikashir of a cheres? Why are you chayiv? Because it's a hard svara, but the svara is because since there is a darash yesh b'mamish over here, so therefore you can be chayiv on the shalheves agav the match or the cheres, even though it doesn't have a shir to be chayiv for itself, but it gives chashivas to the shalheves that is considered yesh bo mamish because of the little kisem over here. I want to say over here, based on Rashi from before, that Rashi says that you chayiv if it's a kisem with a shir shalim, you chayiv for both. Now, the simple understanding is if you have a kisem, you have a full match, and the match if it's ein bo mamish, it should be batel. The shalhevet should be batel to the match, and it's only chayav for the match, not for both the shalhevet and both the match. I want to learn that Rashi learns that fire is yesh bo mamish, and the reason that you're pater, that you're chayav yesh bo mamish, the reason you're chayav when it makes more sense that you're chayav when it's pachos mikashir because it has yesh bo mamish. So what's the case? Adiyah duye. Why are you pater in that case? If it is yesh bo mamish, if I fan fire and shirabim, why am I pater? If Mishnah says you're pater, why am I pater? The answer is that it is considered yesh bo mamish, but since it's made to go out, once you fan fire shirabim, it has nothing attached to anything. It's going to extinguish in a second. The fire is going to go out in 1 second. The wind will blow it out. It has to attach. It has to fall onto something that is flammable. If it doesn't fall on something that's flammable, the fire will immediately go out. If it falls on rocks, if it falls on metal, it's going to go out right away. So Rashi learns that Shalheves, the reason you're potter is not because it's Ein Bo Mamash. He learns it's potter, listen to this, Yehuda, it's potter because it's Omid Lechabos. We look at it as a concept in halacha called Omid Zarik is Zarik Domi. There's a lot of halachas like that. Anything which is going to happen in the future, we look at it as it already happened right now. So therefore, that's what Rashi says. Adi Aduye, the reason you're potter is it's not because it Ein Bo Mamash. It's just because it's going to go out. So therefore, can't be chayav on the hotzah because it loses yesh bo mamish because it's going to go out. Because kol omid lechabos kavod domi. That's what I learned in Rashi. Tosfos learns yesh bo mamish, but Rashi learns, and that's why when the Gemara originally said, if you have a match that has a shear and you have fire on it, you're chayav twice, right? Because really fire yesh bo mamish, and it's not going to go out because it's on a kisim and it's lit on a match, so it's not going to go out. So therefore, you're separately chayav for the kisim and you're chayav for the fire. You like that Chiddush, Yehuda? Even with Ben Sion. Was that a Chiddush? Come on, no one has Chiddush like this. Besides Beitzah. You find me a Rosh Yeshiva that has a Chiddush like this on Daf Lamed and Beitzah. Fine. I challenge you. Go on Otzir Sfarim. Go to your local base medrash. Ask around. You're not going to find any Rosh Yeshiva that has Chiddush like this on Beitzah Daf Lamed.
You're not better than that.
There's nothing better than the Beitzah, all right? Beitzah Shiurim. Check out my latest video. Beitzah Shiurim, L'chaim Tom, Shalom. This is vodka over here. I'm drinking a whole cup of vodka. That's coffee.
Yeah, no.
All right. Mishnah. Bor shal yachi karagle yachi. Ushan she osa ir karagle oche osa ir. If you have a well, a pit that has water in it, it belongs to one person, a very wealthy person. It goes after his feet, after his tchum. So if someone else takes from his pit of water on Shabbos, you can only take by the tchum of the owner of the pit of water. If it's a public well, a public pit, so then it goes the tchum of the city, the majority of the people, is a city which is 2,000 animals to each side, no matter what your personal tchum is. They used to have wells, they used to have pits of water where they stored water for the Babylonians on their way to make Aliyas HaRegel. Right? It's mashma from this Gemara, Oli Bavel. Every time the Gemara says Oli Bavel, it's mashma that you have to make Aliyah l'Regel even if you live in Bavel. Right? Why are you going to Yerushalayim? Right? The Gemara in Psachim and Daf Gimel Mabez is mashma that you only chayav Aliyas HaRegel if you live in Eretz Yisrael. You can get there. What do you think, Yehuda? When the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, you have to fly from America to Eretz Yisrael for Sukkot to go to the Beis HaMikdash? It's Shiloh.
No.
All right. Lamaisa. Beis HaMikdash is being rebuilt right now.
Amen. Kol mamish.
Amen. So anyway, if you have the pit of water for Oli Bavel on the way to Eretz Yisrael, it goes after the tchum of the person who takes water out of it. We'll see why. Mishnah says you go after the owner. If we're talking about streams of water that are flowing, or talking about springs of water, even though they're personally owned, Gemara is assuming they're personally owned by someone, you go after the person who draws the water from them. You don't go after the person who owns it. Here, our Mishnah is talking about water that's not moving. It's stagnant. It's not moving anywhere. So therefore, it retains the tchum status of the owner. If it's moving, so then it's considered, even though it's owned personally by somebody, it goes after the person who fills it up. Our Mishnah is talking about stagnant water. It's more. Let's say someone from these wells that the Oli Bavel used water from, someone on their way to Eretz Yisrael took water out and gave it to his friend on Yom Tov. Rav Nachman says it goes based on the tlum for the person, the recipient, the person who gave it to. Rav Sheish it goes after the person who filled up the pail of water. What's the machlok? Marsa Rabira de Hefkerahu. Marsa Rabira de Shutfihu. One man holds that aboard these boros of Oli Bavel were Hefker. Since it's hefker, so therefore there's a concept of biyam still chavero, kona chavero, lo kona chavero. We hold you can't be kona. You can't be kona from hefker for your friend. That's the maskan like Gemara Mitzvah on that view. You can't be kona mitzvah for your friend. Gemara says that the machlokas whether the person who actually tries to be kona for the other person, whether he himself is kona or not. So we're assuming over here bir defkirahu that it's hefker, and therefore it's magbiyah mitzvah lechavero. You're taking mitzvah, which is hefker for your friend. So therefore, this comes down and holds that you're kona, and therefore goes basra the ragle ha mamale, like Rosh Hashanah says, and Rav Nachman holds bir the shutvihu. He holds these wells of Oli Bavel jointly belong to all of Klal Yisrael. And therefore, when you filled it up, he had reshus to it also, the person you filled it up for, so therefore you could be kona for your friend, and it would work. Rav Nachman asked Rav Nachman Shita, person says, I'm a cherem to you. Hamud also, the person that he made a nether, that he should be osir to him, he's osir to benefit from him. The person says, you're cherem to me, can't get benefit from you. I know they're osir. The person who took the nether is osir to get benefit from him. If he osers him and he doesn't want him to benefit from me, and I want benefit from him, they're both osir to get hana from each other. Mutarin b'shal oli bavel, but they could benefit. They could each benefit from the water of Oli Bavel. And they're usher in things that belong to the city which they both live in. So the Gemara explains, what's considered things of Oli Bavel? Harabayis, or Halishkos, Vazaros, or Borshos Lamsa Derech. They consider the Harabayis, or the base of Migdash, as Halishkos, the chambers in the base of Migdash, Azaros, places, the courtyards in the base of Migdash, of Borshos Lamsa Derech. What we're talking about in the Mishnah, these pits that they filled water up from. What's considered joint ownership that belongs to the entire city of Harachov, the street where the shul is, Beitzah Knesses, and the shul, Beitzah Merchatz, and the swimming pool. The Amar Bira the Shutvihu. If you say if you hold that a bor belongs to Shutvim, my mutter, why is he mutter? Vatnan, why does Mishnah say that he's mutter of Ole Bavel? Ashufin shenadru and nazeh mizeh. Asur likanas l'chatzer l'rechotz. Asur likanas l'chatzer. If you're a shutfim, and you take hana, you're not going to get benefit from each other. It's chal upon your shutaf, and you can't get benefit from each other. So if really we're trying to say that there's Oli Bavel, these wells of Oli Bavel belong to shutfim, it's shutfus in it, so then he shouldn't be able to benefit from. Why is Mishnah in the Dharam say that they could benefit from the Oli Bavel, the wells of Oli Bavel? So the Gemara answers, Lirchotz Babor. It doesn't mean to say this Mishnah in the Dharam wasn't talking about. We said Lirchotz Babor Hachanami. V'hachav Maskin on the Malos. Mamadide Kamamali, Mamadide Kamamali. So when we said our Mishnah that Shutfin are Shenadru Anam are Aser, that's talking about rechitza, because if you want to go into the bore and swim or wash yourself off, so therefore they can't say brayer over there because you're using the entire well. But what we're talking about is where we said that you could benefit from Oli Bavel, could benefit, the shufin could benefit, is talking about where you fill up water, like what we explained in our Mishnah, that each person is filling mididei kamali because we hold a brayer. Whatever your person took is considered his portion. Retroactive. So Rav Nachman is brayer. There's not going to hold a brayer about none. Brothers who are shutfin. Now, when they do Yerusha, they inherit from their father. So there's a period before they split up the Nechasim, and then there's a period after they split up the Nechasim. So when they're chayiv in Kalbon is when it's a fee you have to pay when you're given when you're given a machsa shekel. It's an added tax. Let's say 148. You have to pay an extra 148. So when they're chayiv in Kalbon, so if they split up the estate, and now they join it together and they're shutfim again, right? They join it together and they're shutfim. So if they're chayiv in kalbon because they're shofim, they have nothing to do with their father's inheritance anymore. It's a new partnership. So they're patri ma'aser behema. They're patri ma'aser behema because they're really shutfin. They're really shutfin. It's a new. It's not tfisas Beitzah av. It's not considered like their inheritance anymore. It's a new ownership. They each own it, and they join together as shutfin. There's the rule that shutfin are patri ma'aser behema, like Gemara says in Bechoros. Shechayiv and ma'aser behema pturim min kalbon. And when they haven't divided up the estate yet, if they haven't divided up, so therefore it's really belongs to the father. They're just using their father's money. So they're chayiv and ma'aser behema because it's the father's estate. It's not a shotfus, but they're patrim min kalbon because it's only one payment. They don't have to pay kalbon for each person. It's viewed as the father's estate, only one person's estate. What we just said only applies if they separated kid goats against lambs, kid sheep. Ravanan says that if they split up exactly evenly, they split up the kid goats evenly, 2 kid goats for this person, 2 kids for that person, and 2 lambs for this person, 2 lambs for that person. So therefore we hold of Breira, Ravanan says. We hold of Breira, and even though they split up their father's estate, it's really Breira, and it's considered as his father's estate, because really nothing changed. You just inherited what belonged to your father. So if you hold a Breira, so therefore it's still your father's estate, and you'd be chayiv in your potter and ma'aser, and you chayiv in ma'aser behem and potter in kalbon. Nachman argues and says even if you split up the goats evenly and the sheep evenly, you can't say chalkal magia because he holds, like we saw in a different Gemara. Yochanan says after saying it's like a mekach memkar. It's a transaction. It's not tfusas based out. We don't hold a breira. So he doesn't hold a breira, Rav Nachman. Ela the kuliyama bira defker here. We have to say everyone holds. Rav Nachman or Sheshes both hold a boris hefker. Now that it's shutvus. Alahacha makbiyah matil chavero kat miflik. Marsav akana marsava lo kana. Rav Sheshes says you go basar ragle hamamale. Right, you go after the person because he holds makbiyah matil chavero. You try to pick up something from hefker for your friend, even though you're not his friend. Your friend is not kohen, but you're kohen. Since you're kohen, it goes after your tlum, the person who filled it up. And Rav Nachman holds no. Lo kana chavero, v'gam hu lo kana. He also is not kohen. The person who fills it up is not kohen for himself. Therefore, he takes that; it's still hefker. And then when he gives it to his friend, then his friend acquires it and he gives it to him, and therefore it goes after his regal and his tchum because now it belongs to him. Well, with that, we'll conclude Daf Lamed Tet. We have 1 daf left in Masechtas Beitzah. It's going to be big, starting a new Masechta on Monday. Maseches, what do you know Masechta was starting?
The sun.
Yeah, how'd you know? Very good. You know, Yehuda keeps abreast of knowledge about the daf. You know what I mean? All right, we'll see you on Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. All right, Yehuda?
Amen.
Amen.